that I live in California. I am a daughter of California, a very proud daughter of California. My entire career has been based on serving the people of California, and that is always going to be my primary focus. And I just will never be able to get away from that because it's in my heart, it's in my soul, it's in my blood. And in terms of the work that we're going to do in California, it's going to be such as today, being here with the fellow Democrats, yesterday doing the same thing, and always the work that I've done with the farm workers, the work I do with organized labor, the work that I do with our teachers, the work that I do with our small businesses. This is ongoing. The work I've been doing with our firefighters and our first responders around the wildfires. That work continues. It will always continue. I know how to multitask.
Senator Harris.
I'm happy to be here at the California Democratic Convention to address the delegation and want to thank California Democrats as well as Univision for co-hosting today's Candidates Forum. We had the opportunity to discuss some important and compelling issues facing our country. In this campaign, from the very beginning, I've been speaking up for a nation where everyone counts. In the face of a president who's determined to be a president for some, I want us to make sure that our leadership fights for everybody. And I've laid out a vision for the future of our country that means we can become smarter, we can become healthier, more just, and also fundamentally more prosperous for everybody in the years ahead.
Going to win in California. Latino decisions, without getting a Latino vote, Latino decisions poll this week said 49% of people had never heard of you.
Well, what that tells us is that we have a huge opportunity here. We're not even known to a lot of voters who have a lot going on in their lives and have not been following the blow by blow of the nominating process like a lot of folks in this room. I believe that we have the right message for Latino voters about creating economic opportunity, about solving issues like healthcare, about reforming our immigration system. And I'm looking forward to sharing our story, as well as the story of how we've worked with our growing Latino community in South Bend and what that has taught me about how to make sure that life in this country is characterized by a sense of inclusion rather than fear for everybody living in the United States.
California is going to be a key state. I'm not telling you that, you always are. But this moment in time is a Super Tuesday state. And so I was in Northern California in San Carlos. We had a great event there. And I'm going to be spending time here because, as I've said many times, I don't want to be the president for half of America. I want to be the president for all of America. And that means going everywhere. And that means getting support, not just from a fired Democratic base, but getting independents and moderate Republicans to come to our side. If you look at the election results in the last few weeks with what happened in Kentucky, with what happened in Virginia, this was about not just an economic check, which we know happened with the Kentucky governor's race, where the Kentucky governor had been sabotaging the Affordable Care Act, and it was a debate over that. But it was more than an economic check. It was a values check. It was a patriotism check.
Do you have a plan for the homeless population? Woo, good question.
So that's a great question. I'm aware, I live in California, so I know how big an issue homelessness is here in my home state. I also have seen it growing across this country. The plan we have to have is to build more units across society and to give people not just a roof over their head, but also a suite of support services for people who've been on the street. So it's part of a lack of housing society-wide that we have to address, which is a question of rules and resources. But beyond that, it's a question of support in a suite of things that will let people move into housing successfully.
Senator Warren is wrong when she says that all Americans uniformly hate their health insurance plans and coverage. That's not the case in the studies I've seen. When you ask Americans how many of them like their insurance coverage, it's actually a significant proportion. And so if we're going to convince Americans to shift to a different healthcare plan, to me, the best way to do that is to provide a superior option that Americans would prefer. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cory Booker!
Student debt is a cancer on the body of our nation. It is crushing this country. It is undermining our global competitiveness. Every other country, our competitors are lowering the cost of college. Germany, between 0 and 4% of median income all the way to go to college. Canada, like 7%. In this country, it's between 50 and 60% of median income to go to college. While this rest of this nation understands that the more you cultivate the genius of your country, the better success your country has economically. But we are saddling kids. So number one, pushing lots of young people away from college, but those are literally changing their behaviors as a generation from buying houses, getting married, and making decisions like that. This has to stop, and I will stop it.